All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stories of Significance here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. We're back in action here. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Michael Teague.
Hello.
And so we hope you guys all are having a great holiday season. We had Thanksgiving. We're now in full sprint here to Christmas.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get back into it. We'll give you a rundown of what's happened over the last 2 weeks. It's been a little bit nutty. We've had some great just athletic wins, both on and off the field or court. Over the last 2 weeks. So we'll get into those. So Mike, let's jump right in and kind of tell us what's happened since we last talked with our fine fans out there.
Oh, man, a lot. All right, so let's get going. Obviously, we talked about cross-country championships, women's soccer qualified for after the opening round and all that stuff. So since then, we've had men's basketball. They've been in action. They've gone out of the way, and they've gone out to, super out of the way, to Fullerton to play some non-conference matchups. We've had our women's basketball team went out to Jackson, Tennessee, and they played in that Rotary Classic. Basically non-national tournament conference or non-national tournament out there. And
exactly.
That's where they beat two top 10 teams, right? In Columbia and Talladega, or two top 15 teams, something like that.
Yeah.
And so
which is crazy. The GSAC's ranked 3, 4, 5 right now in the NEI.
That helped them. So that
exactly.
helped our women's basketball team jump up all the way to number 4 in the country. Then we had our national tournament participants. They were playing, and so women's soccer went out to Alabama, Orange Beach, Alabama, and they ended up playing our sister school, Southeastern, another AG school in Lakeland, Florida. Dropped that one 5-1. The score is not indicative of how close that game was, but that was a phenomenal atmosphere for them. They were able to get back out to Orange Beach, and then since then we've also been able to host another wrestling meet. We've had men's basketball continuing to play against some local opponents before they gear up and go into conference play. And they were able to do that. Both men's and women's basketball were able to get into conference play and get their first 2 victories against San Diego Christian College down in Santee. So it's been busy. That's kind of like the Reader's Digest version of what's been going on. But it's been busy around here. But we're basically just wrapping up. Everything with fall is wrapped up, and now we are in winter season, so to speak, and we'll be jumping into spring. And so, Jeff, as we're in finals week right now with all of our student athletes, but what's been this week is actually it's a big week for basketball and for other sports as well.
Yeah. So, like Mike had mentioned, we are kind of starting the thick of GSAC slates here for basketball,
which is new.
Yeah. So that we're playing 3 games before Christmas now, and then we'll go back to kind of some non-conference play in that. But GSAC home opener for basketball will be Thursday, December 12th against Life Pacific. The Warriors are going to come down from San Dimas, which is kind of up in the Pasadena area, so about an hour away, give or take with the traffic here in Southern California.
Give or take 2 hours.
And then Saturday, the big-time matchup of heading up to Westmont. Both of those are going to be barn burners of game. You very easily could these games on Saturday could have GSAC tournament, national tournament implications.
Yep.
So on the women's side, it's gonna be number 4 in the country versus number 5 in the country.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Men's basketball, the conference is just so deep that every night, you're getting everyone's best shot. So after that, then as we kind of parlay it into the following week, since this will be our last podcast with our on the Stories of Significance for this calendar year, as our students are kind of going back home for Christmas break and things like that. So we'll kind of give you a rundown through when they'll come back. So the men's basketball team will be hosting a bunch of out-of-state teams. So we got Olivia at Nazarene, NEI schools coming here. Thompson Rivers, that's a school from Canada, is going to come down. Again, University of Northern British Columbia. Also, from Canada is going to come down. Women's basketball will have 2 non-conference games against Bethesda and La Sierra, and then wrestling will kind of be out on the road. They'll play at San Dimas, and then they'll go to Vegas for a
it's like a big tournament.
Yeah. It's really cool. They do it in the casino ballrooms there, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Mike. Have you ever seen the boxing, the ballrooms that they used to do here at the Irvine hotels?
Yep.
It's kind of gonna be the wrestling version of that.
It'll be fun.
And then we'll welcome you guys back. The first week of January. You guys will get another hear Mike and I's lovely voices, and as we kind of go full sprint with GSAC schedules, and then with the start of Springs teams. So all of that to say, it's crossover season is ended.
Yep.
All of our fall sports have wrapped up. Our women's soccer team was the last to finish. And so it's just been an exciting time around here. We get the opportunity to kind of just talk about our winter sports for a little bit. And it times up perfectly, Mike, with your conversation that you had with Christian Wilson, who is a sophomore on the men's basketball team, super involved all over campus. So I know I learned a lot by hearing this conversation earlier. So we're gonna get into that conversation that Mike had earlier with Christian Wilson, and then we'll touch base with you guys on the other side.
Welcome into the podcast studio, where today we are joined by men's basketball student athlete Christian Wilson. Christian, welcome here to our cool little podcast studio. How's everything going?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me. It's pretty awesome to be here.
Glad to have you in here. And it's finals week, and so it's able to carve out a little bit of time to come join us. So, Christian, just go and tell everyone listening in just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your major, sport, all that fun stuff.
Well, like you said, I'm Christian Wilson. I play basketball here. I was actually born in Spokane, Washington, but I've jumped around a lot moving. My dad, he sells medical products, so his territory changes a lot. So that's why he moved around a lot. But I'm mostly from San Diego. That's basically kind of where I grew up most of the time. I'm a communications major with an emphasis in emerging media and tech, and I want to get a business minor and religion minor, and then I think that's I'm a sophomore here.
Sophomore,
yeah.
Awesome. So, Christian, you mentioned you're on the men's basketball team here, and I know for you, actually, the story of you getting here is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just how you arrived here. I mean, do you want to just kind of give a little baseline of like what that process was last year for you as a freshman?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I came here. I actually began at Balboa Prep. That was where I was in high school, and I'll go back a little bit. I started at Chaparral High School. For my freshman, sophomore year, I went to a public school with like 3,500 kids, normal public school. And then I transferred to Balboa Prep, which is actually like a basketball prep school. And there's like about 45 kids there.
Okay.
Like K through 12.
Yeah.
Weird.
K through 12, 45?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
There's like 4 third graders. There are 7 people in my class, 7 people. It is crazy.
That's awesome.
So I did my junior, senior year there. But what I did is I actually repeated my sophomore year. So I did freshman year at Chaparral, sophomore year at Chaparral, second sophomore year at Balboa, and then junior year at Balboa. But then I never had a senior year technically because when I repeated my grade here, Coach saw it. I was going to do my 5th year of high school starting like that next year, and I was 3 weeks into my 5th year of high school. And then Coach Soliday said, well, you already have 4 years of high school done. Do you want to come to Vanguard now? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, you have 3 days to decide because school starts on Monday.
Right.
He told me this on like Monday. So then Monday I'm like, oh geez, like there's so many different things I have to like go through. I called all my mentors up and talked to my parents a lot, and we just kind of made this decision. And then by Wednesday I gave him like, yes, I'm going to go to Vanguard. Then Friday I got my acceptance letter. Friday was acceptance letter and freshman orientation. Then Monday we started school.
Yep. Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, I'm a Vanguard. So
now you're here. Now you're here.
It was pretty crazy.
Oh man. And so, for you, basketball was kind of the gateway to get you here, right? How long you've been hooping? How long has basketball been a part of your life?
I've always played basketball since I was like 5.
Okay.
So like I don't remember ever not playing basketball. There's a phase there where I wanted to play football for a little bit.
Okay.
And then my coach was like, no, you're not playing football. You're going to play basketball. I was like, oh. Okay. so yeah, he steered me back onto basketball, but I think it was good in the long run. I'm here at Vanguard because of that. So
yeah, definitely. Would you say that you still have kind of you don't push yourself so hard unless you have kind of a passion for a sport, right? What kind of kept you going and kept you pushing yourself to get to the level where you are now? You're still a sophomore and still improving, but you obviously have an opportunity to play here at the college level, and for a coach that really wanted you here too, right? So what was it that kind of kept you going, that love that kept you working so hard to get to this level?
I think that for me, basketball, since it's been my entire life, I've had many ups and downs with basketball.
Right.
And one of the main things that I've kind of realized here is that we're made for a relationship. I think so God makes us for a relationship with him, but then at the same time you can treat other aspects of your life like relationships. So I feel like basketball and I have had like a pretty good relationship. I feel like I've like basically basically my relationship with basketball has been like gone through ups and downs, but I think it's been constant enough to where I love it.
Yeah.
To the point where I can continue to work hard at it. And I think I really just love like working hard and getting stronger, getting better at things. So I think that constant, I mean, I'm an athlete, so I'm very competitive and I want to grow in all areas. So me wanting to grow in all areas of life kind of keeps me going and motivated, and me wanting to have the best relationship possible with basketball is something that I want to that I've been like recently trying to pursue a lot, because I want to make sure that I'm still like in love with it and passion is real and stuff like that, and I don't want to allow it to become something that I have to do, because I think that many times with sports it can become something that you have to do if you don't have gratitude for it.
Right.
So I think that gratitude for it has kept me wanting to keep going and just wanting to get better and like go be as good as I can. And I think that gratitude will keep me going, because if I don't, then it'll become a have to, and then it's not very fun. So the more gratitude I have, the more presence I can have, then the more fun it is.
Yeah.
And it becomes something that I can continue to get better at.
No, that's good that you kind of have that perspective about it. But I know for you, Vanguard has opened up some great opportunities for you to kind of almost allow yourself to be creative and allow yourself to step into and lean into that leadership role and capacity that you've had. And since you stepped foot on campus, you've had almost like a greater purpose and a greater calling, right? Mm-hmm. Talk to us about that a little bit. What is it? I know you'll touch on it, but talk to us about this club that you've started. There's something that Christian's been starting on campus. It's really starting a movement here on Vanguard's campus, I think, and really just working with some heavy hitters. But tell us a little bit about this club that you have, the Y Club, and what that means, and how Vanguard has been able to help you kind of develop this leadership principle, leadership development opportunity.
Well, the quick pitch of why is I think that students are very focused on school and sports and their jobs for some, and I think that people really lose sight of their passions, their lifelong learning skills, and just leadership, character development, those types of things. People kind of lose sight of those things because it becomes less important as we're trying to focus on those other things that I mentioned. So I kind of wanted to create a place where we could have mentors and just friendships that we could kind of help each other grow in those areas as well. So that's basically the idea of why. There's a lot of aspects of it, but right now the first thing that was like manifested from that was the self-discovery series, which we had 4 different speakers come talk about basically a question that started from you, which was like, what's the point of college? Not necessarily like oh, I don't want to be here. It's like, what's the point? How can I take this time in college and really maximize it and get the most out of it? And we ended up having like 4 different speakers hit it from different points, because there's 2 theology professors, there's communications, and then there was a graduate professor that came in and talked about these 4 different areas of how you can really maximize college. And it kind of started when it was actually October 2nd that it technically started last year in 2018. And I was with some friends and we were studying for an Old Testament test. And we were outside studying on the library, in front of the library. And we were kind of just having a deep conversation about life and stuff after we got distracted from studying, which happens a lot.
Yeah.
And then we ended up talking until like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
About just like life and just like how can we really take this time and really grow ourselves in the best possible way, and also spread God's message at the same time. And then we were like, oh, after that, we were very like on fire for just like learning and growing and stuff like that. And then after a little bit, it kind of died out, and we were like, oh, well, what happened? And then we had another conversation that sparks it again. But basically, it's that feeling you get after you do something that you love, or after you leave church and you're like, oh, like that was a good message, but then like you do nothing with it after that. Like that's a pet peeve of all of ours, and we don't like that idea, how like you'll just go to church or you'll go watch a motivational video, you'll watch a TED Talk and be like, oh, that was cool, and then nothing after that. So we wanted to create something where you watch those types of things and you listen to these types of things, but then after you actually do something with it and learn how you can apply it to your life. So that's basically the idea of why, to like really take what you're learning and really apply it, and to be able to, I guess it's funny, but like find your why is like kind of the big thing. Right. Or Nietzsche's quote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." So like if you have a why, then anything you do in life, you can do to the maximum of your ability. Yeah. So kind of just finding that and being able to really stretch that across other aspects of your life and really become your best possible version of yourself.
That's awesome, and I think that's something that if you've ever been to Vanguard's campus, you understand the small, tight-knit community, right? And so you understand that, and you've seen that, and those conversations are had quite a bit where students are staying up super late and having these deep conversations and really trying to discover that purpose. And I think you touched on it there. It's what you're trying to create is more than just a mountaintop experience, more than just a spark and then a flash in the frying pan, so to speak, and then that's it, right? You want this to be a continual progression. You know, you're going to have lows all the time, but it's a continual movement towards bettering yourself, right?
And I think a lot of the professors now at this point, we have 37 advisors, I guess, professors and faculty members that are kind of helping out to like kind of grow this idea into something that's more tangible. Because right now, as you kind of heard me kind of ramble on about it, it's not as tangible as I would like it to be, but there's been little manifestations where it is tangible, but we're trying to kind of put it into something that is real and that we can actually track and stuff like that. But a lot of people have really jumped in and been able to help out, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, so that's great. And you know, I know that I've personally seen it. It's starting to create a movement on campus, and so it's pretty cool to kind of see that come to fruition, right? Something you've been talking about for almost a year, right? And now it's really coming to fruition. So that's awesome. So, you know, stepping outside of that, what has Vanguard been like for you? What's some things that you know, maybe you've stepped into this campus? You've been here for a year and a half now. What has it been like for you? What has this campus meant to you? What has being part of the basketball program meant to you? What has it been like for you here?
Well, I think that I mentioned that I've been talking to a lot of professors. That's something that was really cool for me to be able to like talk to so many different people that have been to places that I want to go and stuff like that, and be able to have them there. Have my coaches so tight knit within our team to be able to give us like very life skills. Coach Soliday says it all the time, but he doesn't want to just create good basketball players. He wants to create good men for later. So I think that's a really cool thing. And I haven't had a coach that's been like I have had a coach that's like that. My previous coaches are like that, but at the same time, he's very intentional with having us do binders that where we're like learning leadership techniques and like how to grow together as a team. And he's very intentional about that kind of stuff. And to have all these different mentors and people on campus too that have been like trying to lift up everyone has been really interesting to me, and I haven't really seen that before, and it's really cool. So coming to Vanguard, that was a big thing for me. And then also having like so many different like-minded people around that I can like kind of connect to and really grow ideas with and learn and study and go hang out at the beach. It's a really fun opportunity. I love the beach. Like I said, I grew up in San Diego mostly, so I've always been, that was a big reason I wanted to come to Vanguard, so I can just go to the beach and hang out around this kind of area. So I think it's overall for me, it's really cool. I think a lot of people can go to different colleges and be like, oh, well, it's missing this, it's missing that. And of course, Vanguard's missing random things, but it's like, Vanguard is what you make of it. Yeah. And I think that if you connect yourself to the right people, or you allow yourself to be connected to the right people, because it will happen automatically on accident, then it becomes a really cool experience, because it's a really strange niche that is really missed out a lot of people. It's a crazy location. We're in the middle of like LA and just random places that are very well connected and stuff like that. We have like weather that's awesome. We have a ton of professors that people I don't think realize are like ridiculously connected and smart and have done crazy things. And they all care about you, and they all want to bring you up and feed into your ideas and stuff like that if you bring them to them. Right. Because they're just there teaching you until you're like, hey, I want you to help me with a real life thing. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, totally. Yeah. Like every single professor, I mentioned 37 people have literally come alongside, and they're like, yeah, let me help you build this. And it's like really awesome. Yeah. So
yeah, that's rare to find, right? And so that's awesome to hear kind of how your experience has been, and you know, touching on a lot of the main points that Vanguard is and why it makes Vanguard so unique, right? And we'll jump into basketball for you. We'll jump right back into basketball, I guess. Talking about Vanguard off the court, on the court, you know, early in the season now, right? You guys are pretty much halfway through. You're jumping into conference season now. What has it been like for you so far? How has it been? I know there's kind of been ups and downs with the team so far. How's it been?
Well, I think we lost a lot of seniors last year. We had like 7 or 8 seniors.
Yeah, it's like a new team this year.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the year, we had little ups and downs because we didn't necessarily all know each other. We had to kind of build that trust and form really true friendships and a brotherhood in that kind of sense. So we were kind of that shows on the court because we're not as one yet. So we were going through lots of ups and downs and stuff like that. But I think as we've kind of moved on and been going through this process, we've become a lot tighter, and we're becoming a big thing on our team is we don't want to play with each other. We want to play for each other. So in the beginning, we were playing with each other.
Right.
And as we're going along on this process, we're continually trying to play for each other more and more. And it shows on the court when we play for each other, because then things click, and however many mistakes we make, then it's just like, it's whatever, because we're playing for each other. We just want to get each other to the best. We want to get each other to the next play and grow and do all that kind of stuff together. So when we play for each other, then it's usually pretty awesome. So I think as we've been constantly getting closer and closer, we've been playing more and more for each other, and it's become a lot of a better experience. But before, we had to go through those kind of growing pains as we were a new team and just kind of getting to know each other and all those types of things.
Right. And it's tough when it's like you said, a new team, everyone's learning, and then you jump right out, you go to Kentucky, and you play the number 1 team in the country, right?
Exactly. And then we come back and play the number 3 team in the country.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but it
cool.
helps you learn, right?
Exactly. Very much so helps us learn how to play for each other, because we're playing against these really high caliber teams, and we have to actually trust each other. And if you don't, then you get killed. And we haven't been killed yet, so it's like we're just constantly growing, and we have potential to really beat all these teams that we've played, and we can totally do that the more we play for each other.
Right, and the more you play as a team, right?
The more you play as a team.
Because you guys are playing some teams that are extremely talented.
Exactly.
Like Georgetown, we talk about them. They're the number 1 ranked team in the country, and you've got talent all over the place. And they don't necessarily have to play as a team in order to be successful, right? Teams like you guys, not to say you're not talented, you guys have a lot of talent out there, but the depth of talent might not be as great, right? And so when you guys come together as a team, that's more powerful than anything else. That's how you guys are going to be able to knock off some of those teams, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What do you think are some goals for the season, maybe personally, and then for the team as well?
For the team, we want to start with, first of all, going 1-0 in everything we do. That's a big thing for our program, and that helped us a lot last year, and it's helping us a lot this year to have that 1-0 mentality. So we don't necessarily want to say like a goal would be to win national, which of course that would be amazing.
Right.
But right now we want to start with, let's win GSAC. So let's go 1-0 on Thursday when we play Life Pacific, and let's beat that team. That's the first thing. So our goal stretches right there, and then to GSAC. So basically our goal for now is to win GSAC. And I think as we progress along and go 1-0 with each and everything, that's basically, we don't like to go too far ahead, because it'll stifle us from right now, which is when we need to perform. So GSAC, I think, is the biggest goal we have right now. So then, because once you win GSAC, then you have an automatic entrance into the tournament, and then from there on, it's like
it's a new season.
Yeah. So it's really just about who's the tightest and most selfless team, and how can you, because the scout, you're not going to necessarily be able to scout out all the teams, because you're just playing back to back to back. So it's really just about who can really come together. And if we can win GSAC, then who knows? It's up in the lottery to see what happens there. Yeah. So we want to control what we can control right now, which is 1-0 this Thursday, and then this Saturday, and then that kind of thing, and move on and let it kind of compound and snowball from there. Yeah,
that's good. And how do you think you can play into that maybe success personally? I know you don't like talking about yourself a lot, but what's something that for you personally, how would you like to grow maybe in this season and within this team?
For me, I mentioned it earlier about my relationship with basketball. I want to make sure that I am able to be consistent in that. And I think for me, I mentioned there's a lot of aspects of my life that I'm kind of like doing creatively over here, and I'm doing all right in school, and I'm kind of like doing all these random things, but I'm here for basketball and I'm here for school and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that, I guess for me, integrity has been a really big thing lately. So, and I've learned that through a couple of professors here that integrity comes from the Latin root integer, which means whole or complete. So to be whole or complete is to have integrity. So let your yes be yes and your no be no, and be the same person wherever you go. Basically, this is integrity. So I want to be able to be the same person outside of the court as I am on the court, and I want to have that same motivation, that same fire and drive for everything I do, where where I'm more holistic. So I think the goal for me is to connect all these different aspects of my life together so that I can be constantly growing in school and in this club and in these different aspects, but then at the same time constantly growing in basketball and allowing myself to become who I truly can be with basketball. And I think that I stifle myself a lot because of my head. I like to think a lot, stuff like that. So that kind of shows itself on the court, and it prevents me from really doing what I actually do know how to do, which is basketball. I played forever, and it's like I need to be able to be the same person everywhere I am. So that's a goal for me right now as I'm trying to like tangibly. I think that means I need to consistently work every day. So I think that's something that I need. That's a goal for me, to be able to consistently do at least a little bit something every day in every aspect of my life, whether that's studying every day, whether that's practicing 15, 20, 30 minutes a day for basketball, and all those different things that all connect, and it's very intertwined. So I want to make sure that I'm the same person wherever I am.
Yeah, consistency, it sounds like, right? That's what we're searching for. So that's smart, and that's what you need to do. To kind of tie that into, how do you think God's challenging you right now in this chapter of your life?
Well, I think that we just talked about consistency, and I think sometimes I want to be consistent and I forget about seasons. So I'll be consistent, but then I'll forget that life is not consistent. Life is change. The only I just learned in business, the only constant in life is change. So it's really funny. So like I want to be consistent in all these things, but at the same time, you forget about seasons and how there will be ups and downs. You can't be completely consistent the entire time. So you need to learn how to ride the waves of life. So I think for me, God's really challenging me in letting me know, like, hey, there's lots of ups and downs, and there's lots of seasons, and I'm going to be here for you when you're in the ups, when you're in the downs, when you're in the middle, every summer, fall, winter, all those different seasons. I'm going to be there with you, and I want you to trust me along the way. So he's really teaching me about trust in probably consistent trust is probably what I need. Not consistency in life, but consistent trust in God, that wherever I am, he'll meet me there, and he'll allow me to grow in the best possible way within each season.
Yeah.
So.
That's so true. Yeah, God's going to be the consistent. Everything in life is not. God's the consistent, right?
He's the only constant.
Yeah, that's really intriguing when you think about that. It's like, yeah, you're right. There's no consistency at all throughout this life. There's nothing at all. It's all ups and downs. Yeah. God is the only constant if you seek him, and you know that it's gonna be good, right?
Exactly.
So let's look towards the future a little bit. You still got a couple years left, but what are your plans maybe after you graduate? What are maybe some ideas that you've had as you've started this club, as you've kind of dove into this leadership principle? What is it that you want to do once you finish up? You don't have to know, but any ideas?
For right now, I know we talked a lot about the club, but the goal of that club eventually is to turn into a nonprofit or a business. So right now I'm working with a lot of different professors to turn it into an actual real business. Yeah. And we're kind of seeing what the steps are, but my goal eventually would be to start that business and maybe a couple other businesses, and eventually be like kind of an entrepreneur in that sense. And that's my goal, so that I can kind of live off those types of things. Just basically what I love to do is constantly help myself grow and help others grow in that kind of sense. So I think that'd be a really cool thing to put this idea into other school systems and stuff like that, and kind of start changing the way that school is perceived, because I think that a lot of people forget the why of school. Because you come here and you're like, oh, why am I learning this definition and stuff like that? There's no point. This is stupid. I'm just going to memorize. I'm just going to cheat. There's no reason for it and stuff like that. So I think when you lose sight of that overarching why you're here, or you actually never know why you're here, then you can't really maximize a time wherever you are, because you don't actually know why you're doing it. Right. So, but when you know why you're doing it, then your drive, your purpose, it all goes up, and everything kind of falls into place from there. So I think for the future, I'd want to turn that into a real business and put it into other schools and stuff like that.
That's awesome. So providing the framework really for what you're doing, and then building that out and kind of ballooning it to other campuses.
Yeah. So Vanguard's right now like an incubator stage where we're really building this idea, and it's allowing me to focus on basketball, focus on school, and focus on this idea, and allow myself to really become my best self within each of these areas. I think that's the goal for me right now. Yeah. And then we'll see what happens with all those areas after school. Yeah. I don't necessarily know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, you don't have to. You still got a couple years to figure it out, and exactly. I think you're on the right trajectory. So that's awesome. So Christian, before we leave and say goodbye here to everyone listening in, any words of advice for, we'll just, gear it towards maybe any student athletes that are out there and listening in, or just as you're kind of going throughout it, just things that you'd want to speak truth into for them?
I'd say a couple different things. That we talked about seasons, and knowing that life goes in seasons, and understanding that wherever you are, God will meet you there. And I think that in order for that to happen, that requires presence, and being able to stay present in the moment is a really big deal. You hear people cliche talk about it a lot, but one of my coaches, he says that if you live in the future, then you get anxiety. You live in the past, you get depressed. So where are you? And he asks you, where are you? And you say, right here, right now. So you're right here, right now, with whatever you're doing. Then that allows the future to take care of itself, and it allows the past to be healed or mended, or what happened in the past that is making you depressed. So I think that staying present, but then in order to stay present, that comes with gratitude. So gratitude leads to presence, which then leads to understanding seasons. So then gratitude is allowing yourself to be thankful for different things within your moment. So when you practice that, then it allows you to be present, which allows you to understand the seasons, which allows you to maximize different seasons of your life. So I think that starting with gratitude and ending with seasons, those are some words of advice that I've really been focusing on and learning from a lot of different professors and people in my life. So
love it, man. Christian, spitting some wisdom out here for everyone listening in. So, well, appreciate you joining us here on the podcast studio on this Athletics Podcast Network. But, feel free to thank you guys for listening in, and feel free to continue listening in. But, Christian, hope you guys have a great rest of the season, and good luck with finals week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome back, Mike. Everyone at home just kind of heard that really good sit down you had with Christian, towards the end of this first semester of his second year. Highly involved on campus, has just a very unique mind in the way he thinks about things and how he goes. And, from being one of the top prep basketball players in the country to, one of the things I've learned about him over getting to know him over the last year is just how basketball doesn't define him. Nope. How it easily can, when you're one of those top prep basketball players, at a young age. But, share with our folks at home what the nugget you took away from Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, no, for Christian, it really is more than basketball to him. And Vanguard has opened up an incredible opportunity for him to develop those leadership skills and abilities. And you heard about that club that he started, the Y Club here on campus. That's something that's a culmination of almost a year of hard work, and he has developed relationships. He didn't say it, but some of the big hitters on campus. I mean, like some of the biggest names that we have on campus and in the community, he has reached out to them with a humble heart and just wanting to learn, and he's jumping in and getting some incredible insights and wisdom. And then with that, he's not just taking that and using it for himself, but he's using it to help other students go through this too and figure out that why, figure out that purpose. And they just had that self-discovery series where, you had some big people, Karen Ishier, Bill Dogtrum, big-time people on campus. And I think it was just really good to chat with him and talk about that why. And then for him, it's also understanding that basketball is bigger than just basketball, and he's able to grow and develop here at Vanguard. And just a really special talent, not just in the mind, but also physically as well. So excited to have him here for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. It's one of those things of, being in here as Mike and Christian were having that conversation. I was kind of just reminiscing of, man, I wish I had this mindset 10 years ago when I was his age, as a sophomore in college. And, I was off in my world, just, not knowing what life after was going to be like, but, just how his parents and the schools he's been blessed to be able to go to, including Vanguard, how all of that has shaped him. Yep. And he's set up to do great things, to impact the kingdom of God. So that's really special. So we thank you guys for tuning in. It's been an awesome first semester. We thank you guys for being a part of this. This has been a little dream of Mike and I's for a lot of years, a lot of days in the office, throwing things on a whiteboard, and we're glad to have you guys along the journey for us. As always, be sure to subscribe, like it, share it around. We just want to spread these stories to the fans and community of Vanguard. So you can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, as well as, if you're seeing us on, the video versions that we put on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you guys so much. We hope you guys have a blessed holidays. We're praying for all of you guys out there that as you close 2019, that you really feel the presence of God, and that as you move forward into the year 2020, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, oh my goodness, I still can't even believe it a little bit. Which is the 100th year of anniversary of Vanguard, as well as just the fresh starts that everyone gets. Me and my family were working on our words and themes of the year and things like that. So we just pray God's blessing over you guys throughout the holidays, and we will see you in January.